EGT is committed to keeping you, our apprentices, safe. This safety video is the first in our Think Before You Work series and deals with hand and finger safety. 40% of the 100 apprentice injuries reported to EGT last financial year were to hands and fingers. Most of these injuries were cuts and lacerations from tools, or from contact with sharp objects, or from just putting your hands in harm's way. Every year, apprentices are permanently damaging the very hands they require to earn money and enjoy quality of life. This video marks a campaign to reduce hand and finger injuries by 25%. So we need you to think before you work. 1. Keep your hands and fingers out of the line of fire. 2. Don't use bladed knives for stripping cable. Find a safer alternative. 3. Ensure grinders are stationary before placing them on benches. 4. Ensure machinery guarding is in place and correctly adjusted. 5. Hold workpieces with cramps and vices rather than hands while drilling. 6. Wear the correct supplied gloves while doing manual tasks. Apprentices are required to wear gloves for all manual tasks while on the worksite. Making the correct choice of gloves is very important and will reduce the frequency and the severity of injuries. Your hands and fingers are amazing tools, but easily damaged. So we need you to get a grip on this safety message. Think before you work.
Was just doing the usual thing, and I went to put the grinder down, lifted up my finger. I can't really think of why. I've got no idea why. But yeah, just sliced my finger, looked down, and it was just a bit manky, nothing too drastic. And the main cause of it was that I hadn't actually checked the guard, which I didn't know we had to do. I went and saw the medic on site first, and he just, he cleaned it as best he could. He told me that the darkness or the blackness of my finger was, it was just a burn from the grinder, because that was his understanding of it, and that's why my finger was black. So yeah, I went back and I worked for another month, and then eventually I got flown back to Perth and went to ReadyMed, and they told me they had to cut a lot of my finger out because the blackness wasn't burn, that was dirt that had been in my finger for a month.
So the treatment that you should have got, you didn't get at the right time, and that caused an infection in your finger.
Yeah.
So, Emily, that all came from an incident that could have been prevented. So what advice would you have for apprentices listening to this story?
I would just say to be careful, take your time with your jobs, make sure you know what you're doing. I mean, obviously we're not always going to know what we're doing, we're apprentices, and sometimes you think you know what you're doing, maybe just ask again. Make sure you know what PPE you need to be using, and yeah, just be careful.
This incident could have been a lot worse.
Yep.
But still, how did you feel when you drilled through your hand?
Well, right from the start, as soon as I did it, didn't really care, to be honest with you. I was like, oh my God, my finger's gone, but, whatever. And then I jumped in the car with my tradie, and that's when it all kicked in, I had a good look at it, saw that it went through my whole finger, and I was scared. I had to stop the car, I thought I was going to be sick. But then he had a big talk to me, we talked it through. And obviously I was scared, because it actually just missed my knuckle. And if that happened, that would have been, 6 weeks off work. So I dodged a bullet there, to be honest.
We need apprentices to keep their hands and fingers out of the line of fire. What advice would you have for apprentices?
If you have a clamp or a vice grip, it's a very handy way, your fingers will be out of the way, and your fingers aren't there, you can't drill through anything, so a lot easier that way, I guess. Always wear PPE when you're drilling, grinding, whatever the condition is. And thirdly, when you're drilling through something, always watch where your second hand is. If you're supporting it or whatever the case can be, just watch where your finger is on the other side, because you never know. One little mistake and, like what's happened to me, your finger can be drilled through. So yeah, that's what I would say.
So 40% of EGT apprentice injuries are to hands and fingers. This number is way too high and we have to take decisive action to reduce it. The 4 actions described in this video will see our injury rates drop and more EGT apprentices return home in the same condition as they went to work. We want you to be safe at work. Your hands are so fundamental to your life. You need them to work, play, look after your family, and so much more. We need you to give us a hand to keep yours safe. Use the think before you work strategy. I can't stress how important it is for you to think before you work.